I don't know if y'all can hear this or not. Let me see. There's definitely a grinding coming from that. So what's up, internet peoples? Welcome back. I'm Matt and this is Southern Motorwerks, and today we're going to be showing y'all how to replace a wheel hub bearing on our 06 Volvo XC70. Alright, so whenever we bought this vehicle, I think about a year and a half ago, something like that, we bought it whenever we were way up in northern Maine. Got it from a little town outside of Bangor, and it needed all 4 hub bearings all the way around it. They were horrible, worn out, growling at me going down the road. So we replaced all 4 of them, and we just needed to get it on the road and needed the transportation up there. And so what we did was we got just the basic cheapest ones we could find on Rock Auto. And well, pro tip: if you live in a salt state, you know, maybe spring for something other than just the cheapest basic ones, because this is number 2 that we've had to replace since we did those wheel bearings when we first bought the vehicle. So we've already put a second one on the right rear. Went a little bit better, sprung for a little bit better one on that one. This one we got from Rock Auto. They're normally a little bit more expensive. It's a Proline. Proline is the brand, I believe. Hold on. Yeah, get you in there. Proline. There's your part number, but I think they're discontinued, so that's probably not going to do anybody any good. But we got them on a wholesale closeout deal, so we got them cheap, but they normally are kind of mid-grade. So we're going to be replacing the right front this time, because now it's howling at me. So we've got everything else completed on this. It's running great. It drives straight down the road, the old backyard alignment for the win. But that wheel hub bearing is growling at us pretty good now. So we're gonna get in there, show y'all step by step how to replace it. It's actually not very bad at all on these one-piece bearing and hub assemblies. It's pretty darn simple. So if you're looking at it and you're thinking about taking it to the shop and spending untold amounts of money on getting it fixed, if y'all have a little bit of tools, a little bit of patience, we can show you how to do it. Save yourself a little bit of coin. All right, now the first thing you're gonna have to do, obviously, is jack up the vehicle, remove the tire, according to which wheel hub you're gonna be replacing. I did want to show y'all though, one easy way to tell which wheel it is that the hub bearing is starting to go bad on. You're gonna end up with a lot of wiggle, and I don't mean just the wiggle like in the tie rod ends moving or anything like that, but it's kind of a clunking noise whenever you tilt the tire side to side or up and down. We'll get you in there and show you. So I don't know if it's going to be completely audible on camera, but let's see. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but so what that is basically the 2 bearing races inside the wheel hub have loosened up, materials gotten worn out, and so there's slop in it now inside the bearing itself. So even though everything's bolted down 100%, it still wobbles a little bit. So just wanted to share that with y'all so you can use it to try to narrow down if you are dealing with a bad hub bearing. Next thing that you're going to do is take off your brake caliper. You're going to be using a T45 Torx bit, 2 bolts, one here and one underneath here. Yeah, I'll show you. One right there, and one right there, inside these little rubber covers. Like I said, it's going to be a T45 Torx bit. And when you're taking these out, there's no need to remove the slide pins there all the way. You're just going to loosen them up until they're not threaded in anymore, and that's all you got to do. Because they're going to be covered in grease, so there's really no need to take them all out unless you absolutely got to. Now, since we're not replacing the brake pads, all we're going to do is just kind of stick our little tiny pry bar in there and kind of squeeze on it a little bit just to compress that piston just enough, and then we'll be able to pop the caliper off with no problem. There's no need to compress it all the way whenever you're not changing the brake pads out. So you just want to find some surface like this here, just pry on it a little bit, and that's all you need, and then it will pop right off. Alright, well, unable to find the actual hanger for the brake caliper, so we're just going to make do here with a C-clamp. That'll be fine. Only thing you want to do is just take that pressure off of the brake line. You don't want the weight of that caliper weighing down on that rubber brake line, especially if they've got a little mileage on them. Alright, the next thing you're going to be doing is removing the brake caliper mounting bracket right here, and that consists of one bolt right here, and then this one right here on the bottom too. And they're gonna, guess my C-clamp hanger didn't work out there. But anyway, those are going to be a 15 millimeter, so you're going to remove those two bolts and then take that mounting bracket for the caliper off, because what we got to do is get that out of the way to be able to remove the brake disc here. And why didn't I bring my battery ratchet out here? I couldn't tell you. Apparently, I just felt like doing things the hard way today. Alright, so the next piece you're going to be pulling off is going to be this little 10 millimeter retaining bolt. It just holds the brake disc on there flat. And it's usually not torqued very strong at all, because it doesn't need to be. So when you reinstall it, don't go giving it 47 ugga-duggas, alright? Yeah, just a little 10 mil. Pull that off. We're gonna stick that back in the hole on the brake disc just to keep track of it. We set that over here on the wheel. Everything is just coated in marine grease and anti-seize, because last time I had this off, we were up north, and I had one heck of a time getting these things off there when we originally replaced it. And so the second time around, whenever we replaced them after we bought the vehicle, I coated everything in copper anti-seize, marine grease, whatever I could think of to try to beat the salt. So it seems to have done a decent job. I don't see, you know, a whole lot of rust, maybe a little bit of surface stuff in here, but it's not, yeah, you can see most of it rubs off. It's not super bad, so this shouldn't be too awful bad to get off there. So the next thing we're going to do is just take loose our 13 millimeter on our CV axle shaft. We don't want to be torquing on that or anything unnecessarily. Alright, keep track of that. You don't want that bolt getting jacked up or anything. Actually, we could probably we'll just leave it in there a little loose for right now, just so we can keep track of it. But it gives that CV axle a little room to move back and forth for us. So the next thing we got to do, yeah, you can see all this anti-seize around the bolt holes and everything. So the next thing we're going to do is going to be undoing the 4 bolts on the actual hub assembly here itself, and you have to undo them from the back side here, and they're hard to see, but you kind of can't miss it. Let me get some light in here. So you can see there's one there, one on the bottom down there, and 2 on the other side in the exact same place. Unfortunately, there's no way. Look at this thing. What are you doing? So unfortunately, there's no way to undo those bolts but from the backside, so they're a little bit of a pain in the neck, but it's doable. Just gotta work around it a little bit. All right, now before we even start to undo these, we're gonna go ahead and just soak it in the old blaster here. Now, I did want to show y'all, because it's kind of hard to see those bolt holes on the one that's installed, so we'll show you on the new one here. So what you're looking at, it's going to be these 4 holes right there. That shows you what the pattern is. On the front side is where your lug bolts bolt into, but the back side there, those 4 bolts, that's what you're going to be undoing. And unfortunately, you can only undo them from the back side, but at least that way you can kind of see what the pattern is, so you can look for them. So all right, well, unfortunately we're almost out of daylight for the day. It's only so many hours in the day whenever you're working a day job also, you know, but it is what it is. So we'll get her done. We'll pick this up tomorrow afternoon. I'll see y'all then. All right, so it's the following day. We're back at it again out here. So what we're going to be working on next is freeing up a little bit of wiggle room on this to be able to get our CV axle out so that we can access the bolts for the wheel hub on the backside. So what we're going to do is undo the 18 millimeter right there on our tie rod end, and then that should allow us to kind of tilt the steering knuckle a little bit and try to free up a little bit of extra room under there. So we're going to put just a little bit of pressure from the underneath on the bottom ball joint there, so that we can release the pressure on this tie rod in here and be able to undo it. There she goes. There we go. Push that up out of the way. Don't want to lose our hardware for it. Okay. Now release our steering knuckle back down. Okay, so we seem to have gotten just enough room here. Well, for the first one anyway. It's a, I believe it's a 19 or an 18 millimeter. Let me check here. Yeah, it's a 19 millimeter. So, a little bit of room in there, wiggle room. We'll see if we can get to the other one. Trying not to have to take the CV axle out completely, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get it out with taking the top or the bottom strut mounts loose, and just really don't feel like doing that. So again, you can see everything's coated in copper anti-seize. All right, 2 down. Yep, we have to use the ratchet on this one. Not enough room to get the impact in there. There we go. Number 3. Now you see that thing falling out of there? Let me make sure I can get y'all on a good shot here. If you'll see, the hub is actually already starting to fall out. I see, for y'all living in the Rust Belt and stuff, that's the difference between putting copper anti-seize or some sort of thing like that, some sort of grease or metallic grease or something like that. That's the difference between using it and not using it. But I can tell you the previous set of these did not come off this easy. There we go. That's all she wrote. Oh yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear this or not. Let me see. There's definitely a grinding coming from that. So that was definitely the culprit there. You can hear the grinding in it. I can feel the vibrations coming from it. So that hub bearing is definitely shot. So we will get this all cleaned up. Tomorrow we're off from the day job. Tonight I got some steaks to grill. So tomorrow we'll get this all cleaned up, get the new one slapped back in there, and this thing's gonna be ready to ride and be our secondary daily again finally. So y'all hang tight. All right, so first thing we're gonna do today is just kind of get this thing cleaned up. As you can see, it's got all kind of road grime in there and everything, and sand, probably some freaking road salt from up north still. So we're gonna use a few different things and get this aluminum steering knuckle here cleaned up. We'll clean off the front side of the CV axle here too. Also get that all cleaned up. We'll coat it with some more anti-seize or whatever, just to keep everything nice and removable in here for the future. And then we'll get ready to put our new wheel hub in. Just gonna use a little wire brush here to start out with. All right, so we've got that all cleaned up, as you can see. So we're gonna put a coating of some anti-seize on here, just to kind of protect stuff. We'll put some on the splines in here, and then we'll go ahead and get our new hub bearing in there. So we're just giving it a little coating here of this. This is actually just some brake caliper grease, but it'll keep everything from hopefully corroding any worse or anything like that, and keep everything moving nice and easy like in there. Alright, so we've got our new hub bearing here. There you go, that's what it's gonna look like. As you can see, like I was saying yesterday, if you listen here, there's no noise. Now if we take our old one, I hope y'all can hear that, but yeah, it's pretty well, she's pretty well wore out. All right, so when you're putting these in here, I believe on the rears there's a front and back side oriented. On this side, it doesn't matter. As you can see, the pattern is the same on either side, so obviously it won't go in that way, so it's only capable of going in that way. So we've got all that greased in there. There's no need to put anything on here because, you know, one surface is fine. So that's it. You see our splines lined up. Perfect. Now, before we put the bolts back on there, we're not going to put any grease on the bolts or anything, but we're just going to kind of clean them up. As you can see, they're kind of a little dirty from being up north. Alright, there we go. Basically what you're doing is just cleaning out the threads from all that crap that might get in it from being on the road. So we'll go ahead and start threading these in there from the back side again. When you're putting these in here, you don't want to tighten any one down like 100% straight off the get-go. You want to kind of get them all snug and snug down evenly, and then you can go around and tighten them. But because you can't actually wedge it in there crooked if you do tighten them all down, you know, like each corner one at a time. So we'll snug that one up, move on to the next one. Alright, so we've gotten those tightened down pretty good. So the next thing we're going to move on to is reattaching. Let me see, we'll put our brake disc back on next. Alright, so we're going to reattach our brake disc, and it's just going to go straight on there like that. Now what you're looking for is this little hole right here, right there. You're going to want to line that up just like that with your hole on the disc there, and that is for your little retaining screw. Just cleaning that up a little bit. Get that little 10mm in there. And all that does is just kind of hold the brake disc in place while you put your wheel back on and stuff. Doesn't need to be super tight or nothing like that. Let me see. What we're going to do next is put our brake caliper bracket back on. So we got our brake caliper bracket here. And from this point, it's all just reassembly in the opposite direction from what we disassembled in. So she's going to go just like that. That one was a 15 for the brake caliper bracket. Just checking to make sure y'all's paying attention. Alright, we're going to have to use a ratchet to finish tightening that up. Now, we can go ahead and put our brake caliper back on with our other brake pad there. This is going to be one of those kind of extra steps that a lot of folks miss or choose not to do or something like that. Re-grease your slide pins. If you don't grease these slide pins, the brake's not going to squeeze down as easy, and more importantly, it's not going to release as easily, and it can lead to your brake pads dragging, wearing out prematurely, overheating, just all around bad stuff. So make sure you grease your slide pins whenever you're putting stuff back together. Anytime you take them out, you put them back in, grease your slide pins. It'll take a lot of effort, but it can make for some real bad results if you don't. I'll show you here. Just for reference, this is what we're talking about here. It's our slide pin, and it's using this T45 Torx bit to install and uninstall. Pull the bottom one. You can see the grease. We grease these in Maine, and the grease just gets worn out. So just wipe them off. If they're real bad, sometimes you got to hit them with a little wire brush, or you know, like some 2000 grit sandpaper or something, emery cloth if you got that. But just make sure you clean them up to where they're nice and smooth, and re-grease some bad boys. You don't have to worry about greasing the threads, just the part that slides back and forth. Use our battery powered ratchet here. Alright, this is what we mean by slide pins. So at rest, brake calipers out here like this. Pay attention to this position. Brake calipers out there like that. When you squeeze the brake pedal, it's going to squeeze in, and then when you release, it's going to pull back out like that. So you see that back and forth motion is what we're talking about here. And if they're not greased, or if the grease is super old, they won't move back and forth evenly or easily, and it's going to lead to some premature brake pad failure. So all right, now the next thing we're going to be doing is torquing our bolt here for the CV axle. Now it's going to be 35 Newton meters thereabouts, and 1/4 turn after. That's what I've read, so that's what I always set them to. So all right, now we're going to go 90 more degrees, hopefully, without any fail. Okay, so torque wrench just, you know, she's old. I've had this one for years. It just slipped on me, so we got almost 90 degrees out of it. I'm gonna call that good. These are some small. Listen, they're only 13 millimeter. The last thing that I want to do is break this sucker off in the friggin' CV axle snout, and I would be heartbroken at that. So we're just gonna call it good there. We'll check it again after driving it for a little while, make sure she's plenty tight enough still, but I don't see that going anywhere. Usually you just bottom it out and then go, you know, another 1/4 turn, and that's gonna be fine. So I'd rather it be a little less than, you know, 35 Newton meters or 50 Newton meters without the 90 degree. I'd rather it be a little bit less than that and not chance snapping that friggin' bolt off. So just, you know, be aware, be careful of it. All right, next thing we're gonna do, reattach our tie rod end here. This is going to be our 18 millimeter on this one. All right. Now we're just going to give that one a little snug with the 1/2 inch ratchet here to make sure it's good. Okay, that's good. That's tight. We didn't loosen the sway bar in length, so that's all good to go. Now, at this point, we are ready to drop this back down, go ahead and put our wheel spacer back on and get this tire back on, and we should be about set on this one.